Welcome to Life Ablaze. So today, my guides have indicated that they are going to go into a bit more depth on the idea of synchronicity. So here we go. We are here. We welcome you. We are very excited today to discuss the idea of synchronicity. We have touched on this topic a number of times throughout the videos leading up to this point. We have begun to paint the picture, so to speak. And today we would like to bring more detail to that picture. Specifically, how synchronicity is the mechanism of the higher mind. And so, as you begin to move into greater and greater alignments with your higher mind, you will find that synchronicity will become more and more commonplace for you. Now, let us begin specifically by defining what we mean by the idea of synchronicity in terms that you would perhaps recognize. There is, within your society, the idea of coincidence. This, in and of itself, can be described in a sense wherein there is a number of events which do not seem to be in relation to each other that yet coincide with each other. And the colloquial use of this term would be that they are random and unrelated. That these things just happen to fall together randomly. Now, we would first say that this idea of coincidence in this sense, this random occurrence sense, is actually a lack of understanding of the multi-dimensional mechanisms that are in place in your reality. This is understandable, for you are only beginning to embrace your own multidimensionality. You are only beginning to strengthen your relationship with your higher minds. And so there is no judgment here as far as this understanding and the limiting aspects of it. That said, we are wanting to explore the idea a bit more deeply so that you can begin to understand what this mechanism actually is and to begin to utilize it in your favor. And so we would begin by saying that there is no coincidence. There are things that coincide, but in the sense that we are discussing, the random coincidence idea, this actually does not exist. We're going to let you ponder that for a moment. This idea that things happen randomly is the mind's desire to make sense of things that do not seem to make sense. And again, we understand this. However, if one were to begin to embrace the idea that there is no coincidence, then that idea alone is congruent with the perspective of the higher mind. Because, of course, the higher mind is orchestrating these things to show up in your reality. So, if you begin to accept the idea that nothing is coincidence, then you can begin to look at these different moments, circumstances, events, and even the statistical improbability of their aligning just so. Because you will find, as you begin to close the gap between you and your higher mind, that synchronicities will begin to happen with more and more frequency. And so when you begin to look at the different events that seem to perfectly line up in ways that you could not possibly have orchestrated yourself from your physical mind's perspective, you could not have planned things to go more perfectly, and yet they did. When these coalescing of events that you could not have planned, when these situations themselves begin to show up in your reality more and more often, confluence of events after confluence of events in ways that again line up in a sense perfectly, you will begin to understand that this is a direct communication from your higher mind. This is a wink from universe. This is a communication from the multi-dimensional, non-physical aspects of yourself, of creation. And so when you begin to adopt this idea, you will find that your lives will take on a far more magical expression. You will begin to look at things that you previously thought were impossible and begin to understand in a real physical way how they are possible. For if, in your own experience, these confluences of events perfectly line up for you, and these confluences happen again and again and again beyond all statistical probability, the only explanation remains that there is more going on than what your basic five senses can pick up. It is, in essence, a glimpse into your own multi-dimensionality. And when you begin to adopt this perspective, along with the idea that synchronicities are very real, your relationship with creation, with your own multidimensionality, expands. And you begin a dialogue with your higher mind. This is the primary tool the higher mind will use to communicate with you. Because in your physical reality, we understand that what is going on around you has your primary focus. You are here, after all, for this physical experience, and we understand this and, of course, support this idea. But to understand things beyond what your five senses can pick up, this is the beginning of understanding what is really going on around you and your role in what is going on and how much of a powerful creator you are, and the kinds of support you have from the different aspects of you, from creation, however you choose to view this idea. It is always there for you. It is, in a sense, the reflection of the greater you, speaking to you directly, showing you with events, that it is here, that you cannot ignore it, that you need not pretend that your higher mind is not there, that you are alone, because you are not. And when you have these types of events, these synchronicities, where circumstances line up in unimaginably perfect ways for you, you can begin to see that there is no way that you could have created this. You and your physical mind's perspective. You could not have planned out these things. And so there must be something happening outside of you, again, in a sense. This is, of course, from the perspective strictly that you are separate from your higher mind. As you begin to embrace this idea, you begin to understand that there is a partnership that is happening along with you. And you can begin to embrace this partnership and develop this relationship. Now, we believe that this would be an opportune moment to begin to express an idea in terms of synchronicity, because it is very likely that you have also experienced the idea of negative synchronicities. The idea that when one thing goes wrong, it seems that many other things go wrong all at the same time. Now, what is this about? Is this your higher mind having a laugh at you? No. This is not the case. You have free will, and this is always supported. And so, if your belief structures are such, and if you have chosen a frequency of, let us say, frustration as an example, then the mechanism of creation will reflect this back to you and will deliver to you synchronicities of a negative nature. And what do we mean by negative? We mean it is segregative. It is compartmentalized. And so you will feel, in essence, the idea of what is referred to as Murphy's Law. This is, of course, an artificial construct. The idea of bad luck. But you do not need to experience these things. There is no need to utilize this mechanism of synchronicity to perpetuate bad luck. And we would also caution you against the idea of anyone suggesting luck, especially in the idea of bad luck. If you were to do this thing, it will be bad luck. If you were to break a mirror, it is 7 years of bad luck. This is nonsense. This is an idea. This is an invitation into a lower vibration of fear. And once you are on that frequency, the synchronicities that will be delivered to you will be of that frequency. This is not what you want. Especially if you are wanting to move into greater alignment with your higher mind. Because your higher mind is on a frequency of unconditional love. And so it does not matter what you do, your higher mind will always feel that unconditional love for you. As will creation. Or you would not be here. The universe does not create pointless things, and you are not pointless. Your free will is always supported. And so, we are suggesting that you begin to open up to the idea that synchronicities are real, that coincidences are not. And so if you are experiencing the idea of a coincidence, begin to open up to the idea that instead of a coincidence, this is your higher mind speaking directly to you. And if it is a negative synchronicity, this is also an opportunity. This is also a communication from your higher mind saying, are you certain you want to stay on this frequency? Because if you stay on this lower frequency, all I have to deliver to you, all I have to reflect to you are things on that lower fear-based frequency. You have decided, essentially, all of the different things that I can provide for you. And so, why don't we look at these situations, feel that we don't want to continue them, and to begin to retune our frequency to a higher vibration? One that is more compassionate, one that is more joyful. And you will begin to see how the reflections, the synchronicities will change to match that new higher frequency. This is available to you at any time. And we are not here to say that you should not explore fear. If that is your wish, you may. We are not here to stop you. It is a perfectly valid choice. But if you are watching this right now, the idea is that you are looking to come into greater alignment with your higher mind. You are wanting to experience happiness and joy in your life and to embrace your own multi-dimensional aspects and to begin to feel yourself as the creator in your own life. And if you are all these things, it is illogical to create pain and suffering for yourself in a sustained way, in a way that you feel that you have no choice, no power to change that. Again, if you wish to, you may. But we want to point out that you have the ability to choose. And we understand that many people choose the ideas of fear and scarcity and lack because they do not believe they have the power to choose something better for themselves, something that feels more in alignment for them. But you do. And so, this idea of synchronicity is a very powerful concept. And again, the primary vocabulary of the higher mind. Begin to open yourselves up to seeing the synchronicities. You may even choose to begin creating a journal of the synchronicities that are showing up in your lives. Be sure to record the circumstances that seemingly aligned at the perfect moment. Or if you wish, record all the different things that didn't go well, so that you can begin to let go of that lower frequency and to begin moving more into a positive reinforcement synchronicity cycle. Because, of course, that is always available to you, if you choose it. We thank you very much for this opportunity to speak with you today, and we look forward to speaking with you again. Until next time. Thank you.